Hi Libra, welcome to Sophquest. I'm Spence. This is your weekly reading for October 18th through the 24th. And this is a very auspicious week, actually. We have two planets that are moving forward out of retrograde. We had two planets last time I talked to you at the new moon, at your new moon, Libra. We had Pluto and Saturn go direct. And now, this week on the 18th, we're having Mercury go direct. Thank you. Helps us to speak more plainly and clearly. It helps us to see and hear with clarity, which I desperately need. And communications go a little more smoothly, technology, things like that. And also, you know, Mercury is the planet of the mind, of the way we think and the way we communicate. And so it's our real down-to-earth, earthly mind, right? But then with Jupiter, that's the higher mind, higher perspective, the greater good, the greater collective of, you know, of the whole of humanity. So I love that because I think that that's clarity, like in a big way, right? Not just realistic day-to-day stuff, but a real higher perspective of things. And about what? Well, the full moon is square to Pluto. It's a T-square with the sun, Mars, and the full moon. So that is pretty intense. Pluto is the planet of Scorpio, of the 8th house, of what is hidden and secret. It is the planet of transformation, life, death, rebirth process, of sexuality, of things that are sort of, you know, down in the deep, right? Down in the deep. Things that we don't necessarily dredge up and show outwardly. So it's also about power and being empowered, how we show our power in the world and whether we feel disempowered. So that sort of coming to a head with a full moon can be very emotional. And with Mars there, it can be a little explosive. So because you're an air sign, Libra, I would say, and because this is your opposite axis, Aries is, this is a full moon in Aries, so I would just say be careful with your words. Words are very powerful. But be open and honest and be yourself. Justice, fairness, all of those things are in play, right? And of all the signs of the zodiac, Librans can very often be very, very, very diplomatic, which is, I think, something you might want to employ right now as well. All right, so I'm shuffling for you from the Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso. I'm going to pull 9 for you, and then I'm going to pull 3 from the Oracle of the 7 Energies by Colette Baron Reed with the artwork of Jenna Della Gratalia. All right, so I've shuffled those pretty well. I'm going to cut the deck and lay out your 9 and pull your 3 oracles. Okay, so if you would, just settle in with me. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths, Libra, so that you can lower your cortisol, drop your stress, get some oxygen in the brain, right? Makes you feel better. Are you someone who takes deep breaths? We are all such shallow breathers anymore. I think it's so cleansing and clearing to take 3 deep breaths multiple times a day. Get a lot more oxygen in the brain. Helps the brain to function with a little more positivity, right? And it lowers that cortisol. That is very important. All right, Libra. I'm going to tell you what each of these cards are, and then I'm going to show you, of course, every card on the table. But first, let me shuffle a few of the Oracle of the 7 Energies and pull 3 for you, okay? Libra, Libra, Libra. So yeah, that's big this week. Big time, big time. The full moon is also opposite Chiron, the wounded healer. So I think this is going to be an emotional one. And I think the best way to kind of utilize the energies well is to use that Mercury mind and that Jupiterian higher mind to gain some real deep understanding, some deep truth, and positivity moving forward in conversation and communication about how we really feel, about what we're trying to change with Pluto, about what we're letting go of, shedding, and, you know, healing from deep wounds, right? Yeah. Okay, that one. Beautiful. Spirit of gratitude. I believe in the attitude of gratitude. I really, really, really do. Opening to discovery. Love that. And time machine. Interesting. Well, I just love that. All right, I definitely want to take a peek at time machine real quick and see what Colette has written about that card. Time machine. Inherited patterns, conditioning, lessons already learned, cellular memory, honoring the past without being trapped there. So we rely on stories that we inherit from our ancestors, our families, our culture, and the world around us to construct a map of reality. Isn't that the truth? That's what being conditioned is, right? We're conditioned to behave in society, to go by the rules and the laws. And we learn from our parents and our teachers and the people around us when we're growing up about what reality is and how it works, right? Pardon me. Yeah, we learn it from our ancestors, our families, our culture, the world around us. These are old foundations. And then we integrate, new things that we learn along the way. Okay, so opening to discovery with spirit of gratitude. I think that you are looking at these patterns. The patterns of your family, the patterns of your ancestors, the patterns of what you learn about life, how to do life, and relationships and everything else from the culture within which you've been raised. So I think it's about looking back and reframing it, understanding it from your adult mind, looking at the same memories of your childhood that you always have, and instead of remembering it the way you remembered it, and remembering it in your feeling body, like how it felt, like if you were a lonely child, the feeling of that loneliness, it doesn't make you want to remember it, does it? Right? It makes us kind of want to deny it because it doesn't feel good. But if you look at it through the eyes and remember it through the eyes of more Jupiter, less Mercury, more Jupiter, then you have a higher perspective through your adult understanding. You have more compassion for the other people around you involved, and that they were doing the best they could, and they were going through their problems, and they were going through their feelings. And then it doesn't hurt as much because you're not feeling it as a child, right? You're having compassion as an adult for yourself as a child, but also for the other adults or people around you at the time. And I think that this is a way to discover how to look at your past and gain new information that actually gives you a little bit more peace of mind and helps you to have gratitude for the memories that you have. Helps you to have gratitude for where you are now, how far you've come. Right? I said Pluto is the 8th house, isn't it? Of our wounds, of our pain body, of where we store that pain. And we keep it secret, locked inside, right? It's the house of life, death, and rebirth. The house of how we transmute energy. It's also the house of our shadow, right? We have light, we have shadow. Carl Jung said that we all have to deal with our shadow and look at it so we can understand that all those scary monsters under the bed when we were a child, they weren't really there. So as an adult, we know this. As a child, we dealt with our fears and hid under the blankets, just feeling the fear. And now we know that when we feel fear, we can open the door, look outside, take a flashlight, put up a security system. So it's that. It's looking at the things that you feared as a child. And I'm definitely seeing fear and faith on the board. I'm seeing you telling yourself the truth about it and thinking about it, a new way of looking at it and telling yourself a different story. Under the deck, which is usually the internal subconscious stuff that we're dealing with, that's trying to sort of come to the surface to be healed. And this is a very healing full moon, right? And number one, it's in Aries, the self, the I am presence, but it's also, you know, opposing Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron is in Aries. So it's helping us heal. It's helping us look at our fears and heal them. Star, hope and faith. Your hope and faith and the ideas that you understand about how you have faith in love. So this could be mind-blowing for you. It may harken back to you as a child about whether or not what you saw, what you remember about how love works. Like, for instance, our first example of a loving relationship is what we see from our parents, right? Now, if we grow up and we understand it, and it was a good relationship, we very often will say, well, I know how to have a good relationship. I watched my parents do it. You know, we take the good and we leave the bad and we move forward and create our own ways of doing love and love relationships. But we started off with a pretty good example. If we had parents that did not have a good relationship, then that's our example. And we grow up either choosing to repeat the pattern subconsciously or unconsciously. It just comes out because that's what's in the monkey mind, right? Or we become aware of it because we do the deep work, the shadow work. We go inside, we discover it, go back into the time machine and look at it. And when we do that, we have this tower moment. Wait a minute. I don't have to do love that way. I don't have to do relationship that way. I don't have to believe that love stinks, that love sucks. I don't have to believe that love is disappointing. I don't have to believe that love always ends. I don't have to believe in all these things that maybe you saw as a child. But you're looking at what you really believe and what you have faith in when it comes to love. And whether or not maybe that was a false foundation. That has to come down. That's mind-blowing. That's a mind-blowing moment where you say to yourself, hold on. All along, I've been convincing myself that love doesn't last, that love sucks, that love hurts, that marriage doesn't work, or whatever stories we tell ourselves about love, right? Or that love has to be a certain way. It has to look a certain way. No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. Now, I know this process is not easy, right? When we're dealing with Pluto and when we're looking at our shadow and we're looking at our fears, it is not easy. But this is your first card today, the Spirit of Gratitude. And I think it's encouraging you to have some hope and some faith that going through it, through the process of looking at it and dealing with it, looking at your fears and dealing with them, looking at your stuckness, looking at the old patterned program of what you believe about love. Well, if you could just trust that this is all for the good, then you can have gratitude about it. You can have gratitude that going through it is worth it. Going through the process of looking at it deeply, of allowing yourself to get a bit mind blown, to get a paradigm shift about what you believe love is or how it works. Okay? So you don't have to do love the way your parents did it. You can do it differently. You can do it better. You can do it just differently. You can be whoever you are. So I definitely see that this is something you're trying to do. You're trying to really allow for that. And the reason I say that is because Five of Swords, things have been complicated and difficult. There have definitely been moments in a relationship, potentially a marriage. I'm seeing the Hierophant, the Justice, the Two of Cups. It could be any relationship, honestly, but it's somebody you have committed to having a relationship with. So it's either a longtime friend, a marriage, or a family member, And there's been complications, there's been conflicts, and possibly arguing, and maybe even keeping secrets. And you don't want that anymore. This is your card, the Justice card. You're a Libra. Justice matters to you. Fairness, balance, truth, they matter to you. Right? That's the only way that you can stay in your balance, is to live in the truth. And so, woof, 5 of Swords, 7 of Swords is not pretty. You know, this has been a complicated relationship, and it needs, justice will happen, okay? It will be righted. That's my point. It will be righted, Libra. 6 of Swords, you're going to move past the conflict. Comes right under the 5 of Swords. I'll show you the vertical in a minute, but so you're moving from the 5, the conflict, to the 6 of Swords, moving forward from the conflict. Okay? How? With the Ace of Swords. Telling the truth to yourself and to the other. About what? What truth? About what you want. Ace of Wands is a new beginning. With the Ace of Swords and Ace of Wands, this is about what you think, what you believe, what you want. It's about moving forward knowing what you want. And knowing you want to do it in a new way, a different way, a better way. So, we'll see. Let's keep going. Okay, so then we have the Devil. So the fears. The stuff in the 8th house that you've pushed down and repressed. The things that you still probably need to discover. The things that are stuck in your pain body. It says in your cellular DNA, right? It's cellular. Right? It really can affect our body. Just stress alone, that hormone, cortisol, can wreak havoc in the body. This is someone facing their fears and facing their truth. 3 of Wands, because they want a better future. And they're looking ahead to a better future. A future where they have faith, not fear. Faith over fear. Faith over the things that are tempting and bad for us. Faith and trust over distrust. You see? You're looking out at the future this way. You want to leave that behind. Okay, let's go down the vertical and see. Star Tower 2 of Cups says, this could be a breakup for some of you. It could be. And you need to tell yourself the truth about it, if that's destined. But it could be a breakthrough for others of you. A true breakthrough, because you're dealing with your past stuff. So you can improve the relationship by dealing with the past stuff, right? So on the vertical, 5 of Swords, like I said, moving to the 6 of Swords, right? She takes the swords out of her back, and she heals up, and she moves forward from this. The Devil, the fears, the worries, the temptations, the stuff in the shadows, moves forward from it. And then we have the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords is either about avoidance, things that are happening under the radar, can be distrust, dishonesty, can be a lot of things, but that's coming to light with the truth. Ace of Swords. Because you want a future that's bright. A brighter, truer, happier future. A future of faith and trust. Not a future of fear and distrust, mistrust, and deception. Right? You don't want to deceive yourself. You don't want to deceive others. You don't want them to deceive you because you don't know exactly what you believe about love. So if you're distrusting your partner, is it because you distrust love itself? Because that's what you learned as a child, right? These are deep questions, Libra, and it's a deep week, okay? It just is. Pluto does this. Pluto helps us to solve that issue. Justice. Who are you, Libra? Remember who you are. You hold the sword of justice. You hold the scales of justice. Ace of Wands, this is a new beginning. It's got passion behind it. It's got Mars squaring Pluto for a new beginning that will bring about more faith and trust in you. Whether or not there's been trust in a relationship, in a marriage, in family, whether there hasn't been, the question to ask yourself is, if I went back in a time machine and I really looked with my Jupiter mind at the past, what would I discover? What would I be able to see now as an adult that I couldn't understand as a child? Because if you can do that, Libra, you will find your spirit of gratitude. That right now you can empower yourself to choose differently, to choose more wisely, and to choose love. To choose love. Okay, Libra? Wow. I wish you kindness, reverence, and gratitude. Thank you so much. Have a good full moon, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.